What's going on, y'all? Sounds here with another beat making tip video. In this video, what I want to talk about is getting your beats to come out the way that you want them to come out. Basically the way that you hear them in your head. This is something that pretty much every producer probably struggles with when it comes to making a beat and getting it to come out the way that they want it to come out. I myself struggle with this sometimes, a lot of times when I'm making a beat. But one of the things that you're gonna have to do sometimes is basically when you make the beat and you lay down your drums, you lay down your melodies and everything, you might have to actually go back and revisit some things, you know, listen to the beat, listen to what things in it don't sound good to you. And you may have to go in and erase things, or not erase them, but mute things, and then remake things. You might have to remake your drum beat. You might have to go through some melodies and remake the melodies. This is one of the things that always bothers me when I'm making a beat. I'll be making this beat and all of a sudden, I mean not all of a sudden, but I'll be making a beat and it just doesn't sound the way I want it to sound. It doesn't have that feel that I want it to have, you know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of y'all probably go through this same thing. And what I'm gonna do right now is I actually made like a little drum beat to this melody that I made. And just to show you an example of what I'm talking about, I went ahead and I made a basic drum beat. Let me show you that drum beat with the melodies so you can hear what it sounds like. Alright, so that melody, it was a sound that I had never really used before. I was going through Logic and I was just messing around with some new sounds that I had never used before. And that would be an example of a drum beat where I wanted it to have a different feel, but it just didn't come out right because the drum beat just wasn't what I wanted it to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute all those sounds out in the drum beat. Let's go ahead and mute those out. And I'm going to play you, I'm gonna let it come in like as an intro, then you're gonna hear the actual drum beat that I had, that I put to it, the finished drum beat, so you can hear what it sounded like and you hear the finished product. Let me let you hear that. So that's the drum beat right there. That's the actual drum beat that I used for the beat and I kept for it because I wanted it to have like a certain bounce to it, and that's what I heard in my head, and I actually went ahead and made that. And what I did was I basically made each drum separately. Instead of me playing my kick and my snare at the same time and then trying to add my hi-hats in there, I just went ahead and the way that I heard the kick and the beat that I heard in my head, I laid the kick down that way, one at a time, and then I laid down the snare. And then I laid down, you know, a little shaker. I heard a shaker in there. Shakers aren't really popular today when it comes to making hip hop tracks, but I heard that in there, so I put it in there, and I put it in there the way that I heard it. And that's the key to getting your drum beats to sound the way that you want them to sound when you're making your beats. I mean, sometimes it's not the drum beat that is the problem. Sometimes you might have the right drum beat to it, and you might have to go in and actually, you know, take out some sounds in the melodies, you know. Take some of those out and see which ones you like the best, and then remake some new melodies around them, and then see how that comes out, and then see if you like it. I mean, a lot of it is just basically chance, and just going in there and making whatever it is that you hear in your head and trying to single every sound out and trying to put every sound the way that you hear it one by one in there to get it to sound the way that you want it to make it sound perfect, you know. And that's one of the hardest things that beat makers try to do, producers try to do when they are making their beats is try to get their beats to sound the way that they hear them in their head, you know. So just a little tip that I wanted to share with y'all. So keep that in mind when you're making your beats, and try this method out, you know, making everything one by one. Most producers do this with the computer programs that they use today anyway, but you know, doing it that way, and if you have to revisit things, revisit your drum beats, revisit your melodies, whatever it is, just to try to get that drum beat to sound the way that you want it, or to try to get that entire beat to sound the way that you want it by maybe changing some melodies or some sounds within the drum beat itself. Alright, so keep that in mind, and this is Sound signing off, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.